there, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Pinal Prep Spotlight, brought to you by Jones Ford Buick GMC, your hometown dealer for more than 50 years. We highlighted some of our boys' teams in Pinal County last week with Coolidge and Santan Foothills. Coolidge remains undefeated after quite possibly their rockiest game yet. We won't get into all that, but be sure to check out David's story on our website. Jumping into this week's game of the week, it is Casa Grande Union hosting Gilbert Campo Verde. This is the girls, and unfortunately for us, we don't have stats on max preps for CG Union, so this might just be the Campo Verde show. Who knows? David, what are you expecting from the Coyotes?
From the Coyotes, this has always been a team that's kind of put together some solid performances as well. But, for Union, I think it's just kind of a chance to try to start building that foundation that they have that they've been trying to do for so long. Last year, they were 9-14 altogether, and this year they're rocking a 6-9 record all time with both tournament and regular season. So it's still kind of some question marks with this Union girls team on who their leaders are and who they're able to kind of rely on for games. So it's going to be an interesting thing just to kind of see how this team plays with one another. We haven't really had a chance to see them play so much this year so far. So this is kind of our really first taste of seeing what they can do on the court. But they've always been well coached, and they're trying to find a good spot for this team to kind of see where they stack up with other teams, especially since moving up a division. So this is definitely going to be a time for them to kind of stake their name and say that, hey, we're working well. We're kind of building that foundation like we've had to for so long, and it's going to be a tough game against Campo. They can probably surprise some people, but right now I'm going to take Campo to win this one and just kind of hope that Union can continue to can continue to ascend to what they hope to be in the coming years.
Okay, so David has mentioned laying down a foundation. It's kind of difficult when you have a new head coach. Now, this is the first year for Coach Kentrell Smith. So, as David mentioned, building a foundation. This is kind of hard to do when you have a new head coach. This is the first year for Kentrell Smith. And like David mentioned, there's kind of been some growing pains given their record. Returning for them that do have that playoff experience are Cadence Apka, Bailey Nash, Sienna White. All three of them are juniors. But then you also have one of their seniors in Jalen White. These fours were big contributors for the team last year. Last year, it was a hectic season for them. They started off the year really well. They had their two go-to players in Aaliyah Robbins and Juliet Graves, but then halfway through the season, they got hurt. So all these girls that are on the team this year, they had to pick up the slack where the two were absent, and, they gained very valuable experience. They managed to sneak into the 5A conference play-in tournament last year, so, hey, they built a lot of confidence. They got a lot of playing time and experience. Now it's just a matter of, putting everything they garnered last year and putting that together this year with whatever Smith is trying to implement as far as his system goes. Looking at Campo Verde, they are currently ranked number 16 in the 5A conference. So yeah, this is going to be a bit of a difficult task for CG Union. Campo Verde is led by two seniors in Kinsey Hutchings and Allison Saunders, but then they also have two underclassmen in Kelsey Watts and Bianca Hurtado, who can really shoot the ball. And like I mentioned, this might be a bit of a headache for CG Union, but overall, this is more about garnering experience and, trying to gel together. David, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that last point, because a lot of the times we've seen with some of these teams, the best way for them to get better is to just go out there and do what they can do and go against some of these tough teams. And I've always been under the mantra of iron sharpens iron. I think this is the exact example of that, where these guys are looking to find what they can do against a tough team like that and start building that valuable experience that they want in order to continue to build that foundation like we talked about for the later years. So I like this matchup for them, and I hope that they are able to kind of continue to do what they want to do into the coming years.
Also, we got to point out, this is barely the second week for us coming back from winter break, so we really don't know, who these two teams will have available. Sometimes, injuries, sickness, grades become a factor this late in the season, unfortunately. And going back to CG Union, I got a chance to see them in a preseason tournament back in late November, and they basically didn't have a bench. Their bench was non-existent in this tournament. Out at Red Mountain Mesa, they had maybe one or two players, and if that's the case, again, for this game to start the second half of the season, then hey, there are bigger problems for CG Union besides trying to win games. That does it for this week's Pinal Prep Spotlight. Be sure to tune in to Pinal Central for all of your local game coverage.